All praise going out. It's most certainly through the Most High. God, make sure I say Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, peace to you in the name of Jesus. This is your brother Elisha Israel of the household of faith. And I count it truly a blessing each and every single time that I can come before you, preach the word of God, and feel kind of as a light thing to do so. All right, brothers and sisters, I want to deal with a simple thing today, and that is the truth. Okay, we know that the word of God is truth. His commandments are the truth. But the truth is something, especially talking about the word of God, is something that people hate. They can't handle it. As I said in that Jack Nicholson said in that movie, they can't handle the truth. People do not want to hear the truth. And you see that throughout the scriptures. People would prefer a lie, even though it's not to their best interest, even though it's to their own detriment. People cannot stand the truth. And this should show you that. I'm going to go over some scriptures here. We're going to go over a few. I'm not going to keep you long. Let's go to Isaiah, the 30th chapter. Isaiah, the 30th chapter, we want to pick it up at verse 8, because here we find out what kind of people Israel, what kind of people they are. And it says, now go write before them in a table and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever. He said, go write this down. He goes on to say that this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of the Lord. Okay, so they're a bunch of rebels. And it's even true unto this day. A bunch of rebellious people. But then he said something. He said, will say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. So now he says to the seer, that's the prophet, the one that's bringing the word from God. He said, don't speak unto us right things, right? They don't want to hear the law. They say, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. In other words, tell me a lie. You ever wonder how these churches, these people selling pipe dreams, lying to people? That's because they're giving the people what they want. These ministers of Satan are telling people lies, but the people want a lie. They want to hear a lie. They don't want the truth. And when you come with the truth, you are a problem. Let's go to Jeremiah just to show you this. Let's go to Jeremiah, this mighty prophet here. What does it say? Now, you see how they treated Jeremiah. Matter of fact, let me show you how they treated him. Jeremiah, we're going to pick it up in the 20th chapter. He says, O Lord, in verse 7, Jeremiah 20:7, he says, O Lord, thou hast deceived me, and I was deceived. Thou art stronger than I, hast prevailed. I am in derision daily. Everyone mocketh me. So Jeremiah, quite frankly, speak frankly with you, is catching hell. Why is he catching hell? Because he's telling the people what thus saith the Lord, and the people don't want to hear. He says, for since I spake, I cried out. What was he speaking? What was he crying? He was crying what thus saith the Lord. For since I spake, I cried out. I cried violence and spoil, because the word of the Lord was made a reproach unto me, and a derision daily. So it's not like he don't understand. He's not saying, that the Lord lied to him, but rather that the situation he has been in because of the word. Okay, they smoked Jeremiah, they threw Jeremiah in prison, threatened Jeremiah. Then in verse 9, then I said, I will not make mention of him nor speak any more in his name. He says, so I'm not going to speak the word that he gave me. He said, but his word was in mine heart, or in my mind, as a burning fire shut up in my bones, and I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. He couldn't hold it in. But understand, the people he was going to did not want to hear what this man had to say. This is Jeremiah 11, chapter, verse 18. Verse 18 reads, and the Lord hath given me knowledge of it, and I know it. Then thou showest me their doings. Okay? He said, but I was like a lamb or an ox that is brought to the slaughter. He said, and I knew not that they had devised devices against me, saying, let us destroy the tree with the fruit thereof, and let us cut him off from the land of the living, that his name may be no more remembered. But, O Lord of hosts, that judgest righteously, that triest the reins and the heart, let me see the vengeance on him, for unto thee have I revealed my cause. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of the men of Anathoth, that seek thy life, saying, what are they? Now they want to kill him. Now, what are they saying though? they saying, prophesy not in the name of the Lord, that thou die not by our hand. We will kill you over the truth. You preaching the truth, that's you must want to be killed. You must want to die. You must want to be in prison. You must want to be beaten with 40 stripes, save one. You must want to be stoned and left for dead. You must want to be chased out of the city. People don't want to hear the truth. You can't handle the truth. People don't want to hear it. Because the truth comes with responsibility. People would much rather have a lie and go on in their trifling ways, headed towards destruction, headed to the pit, headed for the lake of fire, headed for the famine, headed for the siege, headed for total destruction. They much rather have that in their lives than the truth. Because the truth requires change. The truth requires you to fix yourself up, to clean yourself up, to live righteously. That's what the truth requires. His word is true. But they don't want to hear the truth. Just like Isaiah. We gained so much from these men and their writings. What we learned from Isaiah, he said, right before the minute table, noted in the book that this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of the Lord, was saying to the seers, see not to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, prophesy unto us smooth things. They wanted deceit. Right? He says, prophesy not in the name of the Lord, that thou die not by our hand. We will kill you. For what? For speaking the truth. We'll kill you. That's a way to get you killed. Now, if you want some money, if you want some fame, if you want to be loved by everybody, you want to be loved by this world, speak these lies that these ministers speak. You get rich. That's all you got to do is speak lies to them. Amos, the 7th chapter. We're going to go to verse 10 again. Here go another prophet. Amos, the 7th chapter, verse 10. It says, then Amaziah, the priest of Bethel, sent to Jeroboam, king of Israel, saying, Amos hath conspired against thee in the midst of the house of Israel. The land is not able to bear all his words, but Amos was speaking the truth. But you got one Amaziah, he's accusing Amos. And he's saying, listen, he the priest. Now he's talking to the king and he's saying, listen, he didn't conspire against you. Israel can't bear all his words. For thus Amos saith, Jeroboam shall die by the sword, and Israel shall surely be led away captive out of their own land. He ain't told you nothing but the truth. He ain't telling you nothing but the truth. He said, verse 12, also Amaziah said unto Amos, O thou seer, go, flee thee away into the land of Judah, and there eat bread and prophesy there, but prophesy not again anymore at Bethel, for it is the king's chapel, and it is the king's court. He didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to hear it. What did he want to hear? He didn't want to hear the truth. 2 Chronicles. But the Most High, he sent men to teach you the truth. You don't want to hear it, though. People don't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear it in Isaiah's day or Jeremiah's day or in Amos's day. They didn't want to hear it. None of what the prophets had to say. This is 2 Chronicles, the 36th chapter. They didn't want to hear the truth. They hate the truth. 2 Chronicles, the 36th chapter. We're going to pick it up in verse 14. 2 Chronicles 36 and verse 14. Now, we read about Israel, what was prophesied concerning them. They were talking about the 10 tribes. They're going to go into captivity. And they did in 721, 722 BC. And so did Judah, the southern kingdom. But here it says, more in verse 14. This is 2 Chronicles 36 and verse 14. It says, moreover, all the chief of the priests and the people transgressed very much after all the abominations of the heathen, and polluted the house of the Lord, which he had hallowed in Jerusalem. So they dealing falsely in the land. They doing wickedness. I talked yesterday about Josiah and how he led all these reformations. Well, Josiah died. Josiah died. And what happened? He had children, and these men were wicked. We know that Josiah was righteous. Just to pick it up in chapter 35 of 2 Chronicles, This what Jeremiah thought about him. It says in verse 25, and that what they call a weeping prophet who wrote Lamentations, and Jeremiah lamented for Josiah. And all the singing men and the singing women spake of Josiah in their Lamentations to this day, and made them an ordinance in Israel. And behold, they are written in the Lamentations. Why they lamenting over him? They mourning over him because they know they had a real one. They know they had a king that was about righteousness. That was not the norm. That was not the norm. That's why they mourned over him. Let's go back to 2 Chronicles 36 and verse 15. Because the people were doing wickedly, and what happened? It says, and the Lord God of their fathers sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. So now he early in their sin, early in their iniquity, when it's a chance to recover, he sent his prophets. He sent his messengers with what? A word. A messenger bring a word. No messenger never comes and you be like, what's the message? He just stand there. He's bringing a word. So they brought the word of God. They brought the message of God. How did the people feel? We read that they're rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of the Lord. They don't want to hear what the seer has to say. They don't want to hear what the prophet has to say. It said, but they mocked the messengers of God and despised his words. You hate the truth. Again, but they mocked the messengers of God and despised his words and misused his prophets until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people, till there was no remedy. See, there's always a consequence for you following lies. Like he says in one place, they be blind leaders of the blind. Because they're telling you, they're leading you through what they're saying to you, and they're leading you towards destruction. They be blind leaders of the blind. If the blind lead the blind, they shall both fall in the ditch. When you following after lies, you don't know what you should do. You don't know which way you should go. You can't be right if you're following lies. We living in even if you look in general, brothers and sisters, we living in the age of misinformation. We have more information in this time period available to us than in any time period in human history. But what you have is an abundance, a plethora, an overwhelming amount of misinformation. Misinformation politically. Misinformation, one of the main ways in which people are misinformed is spiritually. It's spiritually. You go on YouTube and you cipher through all the shenanigans. I ain't talking about the twerking. I'm talking about people talking about thus said the Lord. That's what they saying, right? But the vast majority of what you see is falsehood. But they claim to be speaking for the Most High. They claim to be speaking for the Most High. But you got to go in the corner and find a brother that's teaching the truth. So he says, but they mocked the messengers of God and despised his words and misused his prophets. So that's what the people did. The people don't want to hear the truth anyway. You got to bring it to them, but they don't want to hear the truth. As he told Ezekiel, I sat there as a watchman, warn the people of me. You got to warn the people of the destruction that's coming in their lives individually or as a nation because of their unrighteousness. You have to point out to them the truth. What is the truth? His law or his commandments, that's the truth. And once you're shown how you're out of the way, off the road, off the path, and this is the truth, this is the life, this is how you live and what you should be doing, people don't want to do that because, again, it requires you to change. And we much rather be led by our carnal nature. We much rather be led by our lustful desires. At heart, we are savages. The heart is desperately wicked. Who can know it? Madness is in the heart of men while they live, and after that, they go to the dead. Man, this mind is a cesspool, and this is what's driving people. This is what's defiling you. Your mind, because out of your mind, that's where all the thoughts come, and that's where all these thoughts, the genesis of an action lies. But the word requires you to bind yourself. It requires you to bring your body into subjection. It's going to require you to change. That's what the truth shapes and molds you if you adhere unto it. But that's why people don't want it. Because that's not necessarily an easy process. You have to go against your very nature. But if Paul said those things I would not do, that I do, those things I would do, that I do not. Oh, the wretched man am I? Right? He said, for that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that I do. See, he had an internal conflict. That's what the truth will do. It will, again, in an individual, it will cause you to change. As a nation, you saw with Josiah, what I read yesterday. He saw what? The truth. He saw, they say, here's the law. And he would have said, he rent his clothes and he started a reformation. And he went about the necessary ugly change that had, when I mean ugly, meaning uncomfortable. No, tear down all this, tear down all the paganism, tear down all the groves, tear down all the idols and burn. Get rid of these sodomites that are near the temple. Let's get back to righteousness. I know you don't want to do it, but you ain't got a choice because I'm the king. This is what we're doing. That's the kind of king he was, and that's why they wept and lamented for him. It was prophesied even that he would come and do what he did, lead this mighty reformation. So he says, and it says, but they mocked the messengers of God and despised his words and misused his prophets until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people till there was no remedy. See, because you won't accept the truth, destruction is coming. He said in verse 17, therefore he brought upon them the king of the Chaldees to slew their young men with the sword in the house of their sanctuary, and had no compassion upon young man or maiden, old man or him that stooped for age. They gave them all unto his hand. They didn't want to hear the truth, even though that's what he was bringing. They didn't want to hear it. This is Jeremiah 29th chapter. This is the same thing. He says, because in 29 and 19, he said, because they have not hearkened to my words. He says, saith the Lord, which I sent unto them by my servants, the prophets, rising up early and sending them, but ye would not hear, saith the Lord. So, again, he sent them, but they didn't want to hear. They didn't want to hear. Let's go to give me 1 second. This is still in Jeremiah. Give me a second. Because even when they were asked to hear, or were asked to hear the word of the Lord, they still don't want to hear it. They still don't want to hear it. Give me 1 second. They don't want to hear the truth. You know how it is in your natural life. You tell somebody the truth, something they need to hear about somebody they with. They don't want to hear that. Look, that person you with is going to be your downfall. It's clear as day. Everybody can see it except you. You need to get out of that situation. What? You need to stop drinking. What? Listen, you are alcoholic. You need to stop. What? Listen, you on drugs, it's ruining your life. What? Listen, I don't know what you're thinking, but you can't sit on the couch all day and play video games and expect your life to go right. Then complain about the chances you don't have when you're not even trying. What? You need to take better care of yourself. You want to be around for your children, you know, your health, that's important. Man, people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that. Give me 1 second. That's the mindset of people. Give me 1 second. Because even when they ask, they don't want to hear. We still in Jeremiah. Let's go to the 44th chapter. They don't want to hear. Let's pick it up at Jeremiah, the 44th chapter. And we want to pick it up at let's pick it up at verse 1. It said, the word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the Jews who dwell in the land of Egypt, which dwell at Migdol and at Taphnes, and at North, and in the country of Pathros, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, ye have seen all the evil that I brought up upon Jerusalem and upon all the cities of Judah. And behold, this day they are a desolation, and no man dwelleth therein, because of their wickedness which they have committed to provoke me to anger, and that they went to burn incense and to serve other gods, whom they knew not, neither they, ye, nor your fathers. Howbeit I sent unto you all my servants the prophets, rising early and sending them, saying, oh, do not this abominable thing that I hate. Don't do this wickedness. I hate it. But you know what? You hate the truth. So it said, but they hearken not, nor incline their ear to turn from their wickedness, to burn no incense unto their gods. Wherefore my fury and mine anger was poured forth and was kindled in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, and they are wasted and desolate as it is this day. Now he told the people this. He told them that, he said, for I will, verse 13, he said, for I will punish them that dwell in the land of Egypt. He said, I'm going to punish you too. You think you're going to get away from me? I'm going to punish you too. As I have punished Jerusalem by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence, so that none of the remnant of Judah which are gone into the land of Egypt, which is adjoined there, shall escape or remain, that they should return into the land of Judah, to the which they have a desire to return to dwell there, for none shall return, but such as shall escape. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense of the gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt and Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, as for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Lord, we will not hearken unto thee. They told him, we're not listening to the truth. We're not listening to you. But we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense upon the Queen of heaven. He called them some rebels in Isaiah the 30th chapter. These are the people that God, the Most High, manifested himself unto. So it says, they're going to continue to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings and our princes in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of victuals, or resources, food, and were well and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of heaven and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted of all things and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine. See, they wanted to, they said, we're going to do what we want to do. But he brought them the truth. They didn't want to hear it. They did not want to hear it. They did not want to hear it. Now, like I said, they don't want to, like I said, they don't want to hear it. Let's go to, we still in Jeremiah, let's go to 42nd chapter. Even when they asking for it, they don't want to hear it. It says here in chapter 42 and verse 4, then Jeremiah the prophet said unto them, I have heard you, behold, I will pray unto the Lord your God according to your words. And it shall come to pass that whatsoever thing the Lord shall answer you, I will declare it unto you. I will keep nothing back from you. Then they said to Jeremiah, the Lord be a true and faithful witness between us, if we do not even according to all things for which the Lord thy God shall send thee to us, whether it be good or whether it be evil. We will obey the voice of the Lord our God, to whom we send thee, that it may be well with us when we obey the voice of the Lord our God. So they claiming one thing, but they're not going to do it. And it came to pass after 10 days that the word of the Lord came unto Jeremiah. Then called he Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the captains of the forces which were with him, and all the people from the least even to the greatest, and said unto them, thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, unto whom ye sent me to present your supplication before him. If ye will still abide in this land, then will I build you and not pull you down, and I will plant you and not pluck you up. For I repent of the evil that I have done unto you. Be not afraid. He said, be not afraid of the king of Babylon, of whom ye are afraid. Be not afraid of him, said the Lord. For I am with you to save you. Okay. Then he says, they basically were supposed to even to submit unto him. Okay. But let's keep reading. He said, be not afraid of the king of Babylon. In verse 13, he said, he said in verse 12, and I will show you mercies unto you, that he may have mercy upon you and cause you to return to your own land. But if you say, we will not dwell in this land, neither obey the voice of the Lord your God, saying, no, but we will go into the land of Egypt, where we shall see no war, nor hear the sound of the trumpet, nor have hunger or bread, and there will we dwell. And now therefore hear the word of the Lord, ye remnant of Judah. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, if ye wholly set your faces to enter into Egypt and to sojourn there, then it shall come to pass that the sword which ye fear shall overtake you there in the land of Egypt and in the famine. Okay. Wherefore, whereof ye were afraid shall follow close after you there in Egypt, there ye shall die. Now let's keep reading, because in verse 4, chapter 43, and verse 1, and it came to pass that when Jeremiah had made an end of speaking unto all the people, all the words of the Lord their God, for which the Lord their God has sent him to them, even all these words, even the truth. What's their response? Then spake Azariah, the son of Hoshea, and Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the proud men, saying unto Jeremiah, thou speakest falsely. The Lord our God have not sent thee to say, go not into Egypt to sojourn there. Now, that's the mindset of the people. That's the mindset of the people. They don't want to hear what you have to say. They don't want to hear what you have to say. John, the first chapter. So now he sent his prophets, but as one parable says, last of all, he sent his son. Did they accept him? The prophet of prophets? The one that Moses prophesied of? He said, a prophet like unto me. Him will ye hear. This is John, the first chapter, in the first verse. It said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. Now, who is the Word? Verse 14 said, and the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. Emmanuel, God in the flesh. And we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. It says in verse 3, it said all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. Now see, he's the one that made the world. It tells you that in Colossians and Hebrews. It says, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. Now it says something else, and the light shineth in darkness, but then it says, and the darkness comprehended it not. They rejected the light. Why? Verse 11, he came unto his own, and his own received him not. But what did he come with? Did he come silent? He came speaking a word, and the people rejected the word that he came with. You talk about the one that created all things. They rejected him. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. Okay. Let's go to John, the 3rd chapter. Because why did they do it? John, the 3rd chapter, it says, for God, in verse 16, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, and whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him, believe what? The gospel, the good news pertaining to him. He's bringing salvation, the word. They don't want to hear it though. Growing up, I read, the things, little things I did hear about the Bible. I was under the impression that everybody loved him, that everybody accepted him. Never occurred to me, but they put him on that cross though. Why? Because of what he was saying. In part, he said, he that believeth on him is not condemned. And he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And why? It says, and this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. See, they loved wickedness more than the truth. They loved darkness, spiritual darkness. They were blind. They loved that better than the truth. They loved that better than the light. They didn't want the light. They wanted the darkness. They wanted the sin. They wanted the lust and the carnal desires. That's what they wanted. They wanted lies. Speak unto us smooth things. Prophesy unto us deceits. Let's go to John the 17th chapter. Because as a believer, brothers and sisters, as they hated the prophets before, as they hated the Mashiach when he came, they'll hate you. John the 17th chapter. We're going to find out why. John the 17th chapter. He says in verse 14, I have given them thy word, and the world hath hated them, because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. He came to sever those from the world that will be saved up out of the world. But the world hates you. You are contrary to the world. You are antithetical to this world. Why? Because you are dealing with what thus said the Lord, and that is contrary to the world. So just like it hates him, it hated the messages that he sent, it hates you as well. Because you got the audacity, the unmitigated gall, the nerve to live according to the truth. It says in verse 17, sanctify them or set them apart. Like I said, he came to sever some out of the world. He come at the door and knocking. Who's going to answer the door? Why? He's calling you through his word. Speaking to you right now. He says, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. And they hate the truth. They hate the truth. And with that, brothers and sisters, I want to remind you that we're at the Household of Faith. Meet every Sabbath at 5925 West 25th Avenue in Gary, Indiana at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. We live stream right here on the Israel Teach YouTube channel, as well as at www.israelteach.org. If you've been edified through the ministry and would like to leave a donation, you can do so on our website, www.israelteach.org. 100% of the proceeds goes to the work of the ministry. Also, we have Friday night Bible study at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on Zoom. If you look at the description in this particular video, you and others, you will see instructions on how to take part in that. It's an interactive way to do that. If you've never used Zoom before, it's a pretty good resource. And the personal ID meeting number is there. Also, I want to remind everybody that these books are available on Amazon.com and other places. into Egypt again with ships. A message to the forgotten Israelites, African Americans. Killing black innocents. The program to control African American reproduction from slavery's end to the present day. Self-inflicted genocide. Pagan origins of Christian holidays. Hair like wool, feet like burned brass. The color of Jesus and the burning truths concerning the Messiah. Two latest ones. For there shall be great tribulation. And this one just came out last week. In defense of biblical polygyny. Okay. So get those all on Amazon.com and other places where books are sold. They'll be on. Keep saying they'll be on the website shortly. I'm still waiting for some that I ordered to come in. So they'll be, once I put them on there, they'll actually be cheaper than on substantially cheaper than on Amazon. But with that, brothers and sisters, yeah, get those books. Get those books. With that, brothers and sisters, so it's my prayer that you were edified.